Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Every day there are countless books and articles that are published offering the key on how to make your business a success. It's easy to feel overwhelmed trying to keep up and run your business. That's why Deb Creer created the Business Power Hour. Keep up on the latest trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. Let the Business Power Hour do the heavy work for you.
Good morning, good morning. I am Deb Creer, and I am passionate about giving professionals the tools that they need to make themselves and their businesses as successful as possible. And today, we're going to be getting back to what is near and dear to my heart, marketing. Hello, that's what I do for a living, but it is ever changing. And that's why it's so exciting for me to talk to my guest today, because we're going to be talking about how to use new technology to really help improve and increase your marketing efforts. And so please join me in welcoming Bart Frischknecht to our program today. Welcome, Bart.
Thanks, Deb. I'm really excited to be here.
Great. Well, let me tell people a little bit about you, and then we'll just jump into this. So Bart Frischknecht is the Vice President of Product Strategy at Vennli. Bart combines his background of design, marketing, engineering, and a passion for using data to put customers' needs at the center of strategic decision making. He has advised company boards, CEOs, C-suite leaders, sales, marketing, and product teams on their growth strategy with more than 15 years of experience in product development, marketing, and sales across various industries. Now Bart uses his expertise at Indiana-based Vennli to serve over 200 enterprise and mid-market clients by deeply understanding their customers in order to help them to plan marketing content that achieves results. So again, Bart, welcome.
Thank you.
Great. Well, let's really jump into this, but let's do it by going back. Tell us how you got to where you are today.
That's right. So I've always been really fascinated by the world that we live in, the design and the products that are out there. And as I have done that, what always comes to mind is that it's really the businesses. It's really the businesses that innovate and provide amazing products, services, offers in the world. And I just have gotten really excited about helping businesses make better decisions about how they can connect the value they want to provide with their products and services and with what their customers really need. And so as I have been at Vennli, I've been able to take many opportunities to not only help customers directly in an advisory role, but now actually launch and build a new product that's designed to help small to medium-sized businesses do marketing better by connecting what their customers are really looking for with the value that they're providing.
Right. And I love that you come at this from an engineering background. I read your LinkedIn profile.
That's right.
And because many of us think of marketing as the fluff, oh, this is nice to do type of thing. While part of that is true, what's more important with marketing is that it needs to be planned. There needs to be a process. It can't be the hit and miss method. And that's where I think your engineering background really helps.
Yeah, and I think that maybe I'm an example of a bigger trend that's happening out in the world. So I think that we see as data is more available to businesses of all shapes and sizes, it's becoming more important to use that data to make better decisions because it is simply a competitive advantage if you do. And if you're ignoring that data, you're at a disadvantage. And so we're seeing with the companies that we're working with across the board, from very traditional, large industrial manufacturing type companies all the way to high-tech companies, everyone across the board is putting more emphasis on marketing, helping those businesses reach their growth goals because marketing now has more influence in that process. And because of that, marketers themselves need to adapt. We have some marketers who feel the way that they've been treated historically in the organization is more like the arts and crafts department.
Right. You made it look pretty.
That's right. You made it look nice, and see that as the role. Some marketers may see themselves in that role, but most marketers that I meet actually recognize that they are the liaison between their business and the customer, the person who's actually paying the bills, and that's a bigger and a more important role than simply the arts and crafts department. But there hasn't always been the way to communicate that, the way to connect that, the way to even internally sell that idea of the role that marketing's playing. And as marketing is now more at the forefront of the interaction of the company and the customer, then it's more important than ever for marketers and for business leaders to recognize that marketing needs to take into account what we know about our customers and really embed that in all of our communications, not just empowering our sales representatives or our business leaders.
Right. Let's talk about that a little bit more, because I've been in marketing for many years, and frequently we were thought of as the arts and crafts, we really don't need those type of people. When budgets got cut, marketing often got cut, which was counterintuitive, because if you didn't, if you didn't market your product, you're not going to make money. But, because we were the arts and craft people, they thought, and then you always had this, here's sales, here's marketing, and heaven forbid that the two even get close to each other, let alone communicate. And so, it's been, I love the fact that now companies do recognize the true importance of marketing, but the problem is people don't even know how to do it, especially the small business owners, the entrepreneurs who are thinking, I've got this great product, this great service. Of course, people will want it, and let's really be honest. It's not just the small business owners and the entrepreneurs. It's anybody. Hello, we wouldn't be selling it if we didn't think it was great, and so we tend to forget what the role of marketing is. So take us back, just a little bit, and tell us, what the basic. What is marketing?
Right. So when we think really at the root of it, why does marketing exist in an organization? Marketing really exists to communicate the value that a company is able to provide to its intended audience in a way that audience can recognize that value. And so it's really about creating that relationship, creating that two-way conversation. And depending on the type of business, depending on the type of product, depending on the market, the way that communication happens is different. Some organizations are very, very oriented around sales and one-to-one sales interaction with a sales representative. Others are purely online, and the entire interaction happens through an e-commerce website, and there's everything in between. And so the common thread, though, is that in some way you need to share with the world what you have to offer, and the world needs to actually understand what you're saying. And so that translation function is really what marketing is all about. And there are several pieces of that, because you've got to first identify, what does the business really want to achieve? What are our business goals? What's our objective?
And it's not just, we need to make more money.
That's right. What's the value we're going to provide in the world, right? What are we actually able to accomplish? How are we actually able to help our market? And how will that then help our business to grow? So we need to establish that, but then we need to figure out, okay, for all the people that are in the world, our market can't be everyone.
Right.
As much as we'd like everyone to be a customer of our product and service, that's just simply isn't the case. And so we need to get really concrete. We need to get real with who our target audience is. And then we can start thinking about, what are the activities, what are the appropriate activities that will help me to raise the awareness of that audience, to make them aware of my product, to help them consider my product, and then ultimately help them buy and then become loyal advocates of my brand. And so those pieces are important no matter what size of business you have or what type of product or service you're offering.
Right. And we've talked before on the program about, the fact that you have to figure out who your audience is. It's not everyone, and as you said, we want to think that, but look at any of the very successful companies. They know that everyone is not their target market. Starbucks, great example. I'm their target market. My husband is not. He loves coffee, but he loves plain old coffee. not the frou-frou stuff, not the espresso. He just wants coffee. And he doesn't want to pay $5 a cup for it. So, he is obviously not their market. And, and if they were to try and reach him, then they're probably going to lose people like me. And so it's so important to figure that out. And of course, it is one of the hardest things because you've got, sales, you've got the people, the powers that be. You've got your own checkbook as the business owner that is saying we need to bring in as much money as possible. So why shouldn't we try and target everyone? And so that is one of the first key steps, is to figure out who exactly do I need to reach?
Yep, that's right. That's right. And that can be a tricky proposition. You have an advantage, right? If you're an existing business and you have customers coming in the door, you may not understand or know, why those customers are there, but if they are there, that's your first place to start, right? It's just actually starting the conversation and having more of a conversation with those customers, understanding why are you here, what value are you getting, and hearing it in their words, hearing it from them is such a difference, because all of a sudden you can stand outside of your business and look at it more scientifically in a way, and understand more clearly, okay, here's the value that I'm creating, here's the value my customers receiving, here's what's exciting. And when you do that, you can start to then say, okay, how are these people similar? What are they looking for? A common value? Are they coming from a similar geography? Are they, do they have a similar pattern of behavior or need that I'm meeting? And so you can start to create that target persona or that audience by learning. If you're starting something new, on the other hand, you've got a little bit of a harder task, because you've really got to go out and talk to multiple people and find out, okay, who's really interested in this and why are they interested in it?
Right. And of course, the important part of what you're saying is the message has to be customer focused. It can't be what we think they want or need, which that's the hardest part, because again, we've got the greatest product ever designed. Our service is absolutely fabulous. Why wouldn't they want it? But then, it's like, well, we think it's great. Why aren't people beating down our doors to buy it? And then we discover, well, they really didn't want it. And or they didn't want it like that. You mentioned how you're reaching people. Maybe whatever you've got isn't something that's going to work well online. Or, maybe it is something that people have to come in and see. It was funny. I saw a post on Facebook of someone who bought a new suit jacket for a very special event. And he bought it online. He got it, wrong size, wrong color, everything that could go wrong with it possible. And I thought, clothing is one of the few things that I still want to see and touch and try on. Unless I know the brand, so say it's an LL Bean or something like that. And so it is all about knowing your market and knowing where and how to reach them. And then that all important, what are we solving for them? And it might not be pain. We've all heard from a marketing perspective, solve their pain. Might not be pain. It might be something that's very fun for them. Maybe you're planning a vacation for them, but you're solving something for them.
Yeah, that's right. It reminds me of an experience we had with a company that we were working with a few years ago. They were convinced that they had this kind of secret sauce feature. So they were selling some construction materials and equipment, some facilities, and they felt like their big differentiator was a particular feature. And so they were promoting that. When we started helping them and we started talking to their customers and surveying their customers and getting the feedback, everyone recognized that feature that they cared about was a differentiator for them. They recognized, they associated it with their brand, and they all gave them credit for that. But it wasn't actually affecting their purchase decision. So they'd done a really good job of connecting the dots. They were very consistent with their message. Hey, this is what we do. This is what we do. But then they learned that wasn't actually the reason why people were buying from them. And in fact, they were thinking about changing their website and changing how they were packaging their products and unbundling things and making it more customizable. But what they really learned was the reason why we buy from you is because you make it really easy to get what we need, because you assemble everything for us, and we just have to point to what we want, and then we can get it, and everything works. And so for them, it was a real revelation to say, what we thought was our secret sauce is not as important to our customers as it is to us. And what we were about to undo is really actually a
that
big
was the secret sauce.
Yeah. And so that happens. I mean, I have so many stories, you know, time and time again, as we get closer to our audience, we really hone in on what they need. We recognize the things we're doing well, and then the areas we can improve, and it just makes all the difference.
Right. So, you know, let's talk about of course, the key to marketing is content, you know, what you're telling them, you know, all of those various things. So what is I always ask my guests for points. So, you know, if content is so important, how do we develop a great content strategy?
Yeah. So that's a really great point. Before I want to answer that question, before I want to dive into that, I just want to give a little bit more context about content, because sometimes I find myself,
right, some people are going, well, but I've got this stuff. Yeah.
And even just the idea of content, right? So when we say content, if you're a marketer and you're talking about content, what do you really mean? And sometimes,
is it just stuff?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And so when I think about content, I'm really thinking about it as an umbrella term that encompasses all the communication that I'm providing as a marketer to my audience. And so it's quite big in terms of the concept. So then we need to narrow down and break down, okay, what should I be communicating? How should I be communicating with my audience? And because of that why, that should determine the type of communication that I'm doing.
Right.
And so as we think about marketing content, it's really about who my audience is, where are they, where can I find them, and then how can I appropriately interrupt them in a way that's useful to them with the communication that I'm providing.
Right.
And so just understanding that is really the first thing to get started.
Right. And it is not, I'm going to say that not, and I'll underline that with my little, you know, it is not about quantity. You know, I have people who say, we don't care, you know, I do social media posting for companies, and they have literally told me, we don't really care what you're posting, but we want 5 posts a day. I'm like, no, you know, because if what I'm saying 5 times a day isn't what they care about, you know, and it doesn't matter if it's social media, you know, if you're seeing a billboard, if you're whatever you're seeing, you know, an ad in a newspaper, all of those various things, it doesn't matter how many times you see it. If it's not what the customer wants to see or read, it's not going to matter. I mean, you could literally be whacking them, you know, across the head. It can be a pop-up that is so intrusive, you know, or, you know, maybe, so what's important is what you are saying, not how many times you say it.
Yeah, that's right. And I think one thing that I've seen companies do is get really good at a particular touch point with their customer, and then forget about the rest of those touch points. And so
they love Facebook. They love whatever.
Yeah. So some companies may be really great at putting really entertaining or engaging or exciting content that's about the general problem that their customers are facing. And so they have a lot of fans in terms of, hey, these guys always post something fun, or they remind me about something. And they put a lot of emphasis in that, but then they forget to help those customers move down the path. They don't have as much material about helping that person understand the trade-offs between one solution and another, or about how much things really cost, or even the disadvantages of picking them versus you know, someone else. And so that content that helps the customers move from, hey, I'm excited about your brand, you're saying things that are interesting to me, and moving them down the funnel towards a conversion, there's got to be content there too. And on the other hand, sometimes I've seen companies that focus exclusively on that very end. They have an amazing e-commerce website. They have amazing promotional messaging. They have amazing details about their product specifications. And so everything you'd ever want if you were ready to make a purchase is available at your fingertips. But people don't make it there because you haven't started the conversation with them early enough. You don't have the right conversation around, hey, we understand your problems. We understand what you're going through. We understand what you might be considering. And so be able to actually create a marketing content that hits at each of those points in the customer conversation becomes very important.
Right. It's funny, as you were talking about that, I was thinking about the series of AT&T commercials right now that are it's just okay. You know, so is, you know, having a doctor that's just okay, you know, all these various things, and they're cute and they're funny, But now what? I mean,
Yeah.
they haven't gotten to the, okay, it's not okay. We're going to do more than okay by doing this. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the thing, it's,
Yeah.
and because they are saying, we're not just okay, but I want to know why. I want to know
Yeah.
how. And so that really, and it's cute. It was funny, I've talked about this commercial with numerous friends, and more than once somebody said, but who were they advertising?
Yeah.
And how many times have we seen that where we got
Yep.
caught in the cute, the funny, the knowledge, whatever it is, and they don't even know who the customer or who the company is.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. That's right. I think it's a good rule. It's a good rule to think about what should come next with every marketing activity.
Right.
And as marketers, we really like to simplify, and we've come up with names. So we talk about customer journey, and what we mean is this happy path of a magical, customer out there who finds us in the way that we're out there advertising the market. They recognize they have the problem, and then they move down learning about our solution until they buy our solution, and then they buy it us repeatedly. So we simplify that, and we know that that's not how the world works, right? People search, they pop around, they do different things, and so the actual customer journey is quite nonlinear in terms of how people find us. But it is a very useful construct when we need to prioritize and focus the resources we have and the activities we're doing as marketers. And so even though you know that most people won't follow linearly down that happy path of finding you, getting more interested, buying, coming back, you can still think about your marketing activities that way. You can still think about, okay, the goal of this communication is to make people aware that they have this problem, or make people aware of my brand. And after they're aware that they have this problem, I think that the most likely thing they're going to want to do next is understand, what solutions might be out there. And so you can think about your marketing activities as building on that journey, even in a linear way. As people find you in their day-to-day lives, they'll pick up that journey, and you'll be able to help move them along.
Right. And it is, as you said, in most cases, it's not a linear progression. And it depends on what it is. Depends on, each consumer. I mean, there are those that start here and do this, then this, then this. And part of it depends on what they're buying. I mean, tends to be the if it's a longer term commitment, longer time frame, or more money, they might want to research it more. But you also want them to be able to go back in that, because they'll go, well, okay, we like this, we want to buy this, but does it do this? And so they might not be doing linear, but you need all those linear steps in there.
Yeah, that's right.
So tell us, okay, so now that we know what content is, what is the strategy that we need to have to actually make sure that what we're doing works?
Yeah, so just really to think about this very simply, as a marketer, the role again is to communicate the value that your company is providing to your audience in a way that the audience can understand and appreciate, so that they then make the choice on their own to do business with you. And so as we think about the content strategy is just simply a subset of your overall marketing strategy.
Right.
And so the first thing you need to establish is, what are the metrics, or what are the goals that we have as a business, and what do we think we can accomplish with our communication campaigns, with our advertising campaigns, with our website content. And so establishing those goals up front is key. Being really clear with everyone inside your organization about who your target audience is the next important piece, because we actually find that that's one of the places where things break down, is that product sales, marketing, the C-suite, everyone might have a different perspective on who that target audience is. And because of that, they're going off in all different directions, doing different things. And so if you can establish the goals, establish the audience, then you're ready to say, okay, now that we know this audience, what are the most important messages? What's their journey? What's the path they need to go on to understand the value that we're providing? And so once you have those foundational pieces in place, then you can start thinking about, okay, what material are we going to put out? What types of content are we going to put out? And where do we need to distribute it? Where do we need to promote it? So in my mind, that's where we always start. Get the objectives correct, and then you can start planning a calendar of activities calendar of content. That might be blogs, it might be videos, it might be connecting with outdoor advertising and doing a billboard. There's many ways that we might need to communicate with our audience, but it's getting those foundational pieces in place and then planning, as much as you can do to move sequentially through the most important content that you can create.
Right. And it's funny, as you were talking, I was thinking in many ways that's difficult for the one-person shop, because they don't have somebody to bounce all of this off of. They don't have somebody to say, okay, you go and you do this. They're wearing those 10 hats of R&D, of marketing, of, all of these various things. And so, they're not, sorry about that, my phone just pinged. And so, how do you work with the one person shop or very small, to get them to, because what I see when I'm working with people or even, talking with them is the one person, business, it doesn't matter if they're providing a product or a service, they really do tend to be the hit and miss, the let's try this. They have no plan at all because they're just trying to survive. So how do you kind of get them past that point?
Yeah, I totally feel your pain, because there's always, and it doesn't matter what size of organization we are, there's always more to do than what we can do. And so what we see with those small organizations is that it becomes even more important to document your plan. And some people, start with just simply a spreadsheet and just creating a content calendar and saying, here's what I'm going to do first, second, third. And just getting to that point is a great start. But if you can check the boxes on those other things first to say, okay, as a business, what's my most important goal this quarter? Who's my most important audience? And document those things, that process of being disciplined, even though it feels like I'm slowing down. I just need to get this, I need to get this ad out on Facebook and just get some new leads or get some new traffic or get some new customers. The process of planning is worthwhile because the activities you produce, instead of just putting 5 Facebook posts out there every day or every week, you're now actually starting a conversation that's meaningful. So that's really where I would recommend starting. That's one of the reasons why we have built the product we have at Vennli. So Vennli offers, professional services to really go deep on helping people understand their customers. But we've now launched a product that's really designed for marketers to on their own create that documented plan. And so it provides a framework, so you're not starting from a blank page. It provides you a framework for thinking about those objectives and then thinking about the activities. You've got it all in one place, and you can simply come to Vennli and think about your plan, document your plan, and then be able to go on and start executing your plan. And having a structure like that can be really valuable.
And having that structure is so important because it does keep you on track. You might have decided, okay, this is my target audience, and you're working in your, everything you're doing is, and then you've got this little outlier here and you're like, oh, wait, must go over there. No. When you've got your strategy and your plan and that structure, you realize, okay, that one guy over there was an anomaly. Or you might want to investigate it a little bit more and think, okay, am I missing something? But that structure is going to keep you going here. This is not the squirrel method of trying to do your marketing, which is unfortunately what we see so many small businesses try to do. It's the flavor of the month. It's, and it is confusing, especially if we're not a marketing person, because we're seeing the posts, we're seeing the things online that are saying, this is out, this is in, this is what we have to be doing. You might be reading Inc., Forbes, all those various things, and all you're doing is confusing yourself. But when you have a structured plan, it can adapt to something new that comes along, something that goes, yeah, maybe we're not going to use that so much. I had a guest on a couple of weeks ago where we were talking about the fact that Facebook in many ways may be on the way out, partially because people are just getting tired of it. And we're getting tired of all the negativity, all of those various things. So we're not going to Facebook nearly as often. So if you're a Facebook advertiser, is that where you want to be? Okay. Well, if you have a good marketing plan, it can take that into account and your strategy will change, but it's not going to be a radical change.
Yep, that's right.
Well, one of the things that you guys do at Vennli, and and obviously other companies do it too, and this was what really piqued my interest, is that you use, excuse me, artificial intelligence, good old AI as we hear about it, to kind of help with this process. And so many people, because of what they're reading online, all these, we're like, oh no, AI, danger, danger, going to take over the world. I saw a cartoon today where it was, somebody had the picture of their Roomba, and it said, the Roomba beat me to that dropped Cheeto. The technology war begins. And I thought that was really funny. But, we kind of have this innate fear of AI, and you guys use it in a totally different way. So talk to us more about that.
Yeah. Well, I think you raise a really good point, which is that many times we think about especially if we're an employee or someone who feels like AI is coming, you may feel an adversarial relationship.
Right.
And I think the important thing to think about from an AI perspective is more like a partner relationship, right? So think about all the sci-fi movies you've ever watched, and you get these different
views. This is not
right?
Terminator.
You get this dystopian view where AI is battling us, right? And then you have the other view, which is AI. It's the C-3POs of the world, right? It's like all of a sudden it becomes one of our best friends in terms of being a companion. So I think that's really important to keep in mind, and that's exactly how we're seeing AI roll out. And so the way that we use AI specifically in our product today is to help marketers get a better sense for what their customers are really searching for and having problems with in a more automated way, so they're not having to spend as much time to do that research on their own. And so there are so many resources out there just to start from scratch using the tools that are publicly available. So Google is an amazing treasure trove for any business owner. And there are many ways that we can interact with Google, all the way from just interacting with the search page itself to connecting Google Analytics to our website and seeing what kind of traffic's happening, using Google for targeting specific audiences. So there's a whole bunch of ways that we can use Google. And I don't mean to, promote Google, but if we think about
Google's the big guy on the block.
That's right. But if we think about, where our customers live, many times they start their journey towards our product with a question. And a lot of times those questions end up in Google.
Right.
And because of
how
that.
How can I do?
Yep, exactly. And so because of that, Google has become this treasure trove of knowledge about our collective pain, our collective problems. So if we can think about using Google intelligently from a business perspective, then we can learn a lot more about our audience just sitting at our desk. And so I'm definitely not saying that you can turn to Google and get your answers and you don't have to go talk to your customers anymore. You'll miss a lot. But one of the things that we do in our product is that we actually systematically use the data that's coming back from Google searches to help marketers really focus in on the key questions that their target market is asking. And so when you use the Vennli product, you can create that context around here's who I think my target audience is, here's what I think their main problem is, here's my product category. You can provide just a few inputs, and then from that we go out and do the searching in Google for you. And we go out and read in mass those questions and those comments and that data that Google is providing back, so that we can give back to you a set of topics that can be the basis for your own content strategy. So as you think about, okay, what are the main problems? What kind of things should I be talking about on my blog? What kind of things should be raising awareness? That is a list of topics there. As I move to consideration, what are the trade-offs people are considering? What are the questions and concerns they have about my product category? I can now create ebooks. I can create videos. I can create talking points at an event. There's so many different ways I can use those topics now, all the way down to conversion and retention. And so we are seeking to make that data more available and more accessible to the marketer as they're thinking about their own needs to create content that motivates and engages their audience.
Right. Well, and because of Google and the other search engines and things like that, there's too much data. And as just the basic marketer or the business owner, I mean, if you start trying to do this yourself, you're going to get overwhelmed. or you don't ask the right questions, all these various things. So that's where it helps to work with a company like yours that can aggregate it, that can go, okay, well, this we need, we can ignore this, and there are people who they think it's the greatest thing in the world to sit down and start doing it themselves. They want to know that they have fun doing it. Well, that's great, but is that, and this is what it ultimately comes down to, folks, is that the best use of your time? And obviously working with Vennli is not free, but think about it from a cost benefit analysis. If you spend, your own time when you could be out there selling your product or service or doing what it is that you do, as opposed to sitting and trying to figure out what you're doing in Google, that's where AI comes in, because you're able to kind of, simplify this process.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, so you can obviously die by analysis paralysis, right? You can just analyze, and you never get content out the door, and then you never get customers because no one knows that you're out there, right? And so you want to avoid that, whether you're doing it on your own or whether you're using a tool. But there's no reason in this day and age to not be making use of the tools that are out there, because there are tools out there that can give you information about who is coming to your website, what are they looking at, what are they actually looking at across the web, right? And so understanding more about what your audience is doing is the smart thing to do. And it's no longer the case that we simply build up a whole bunch of experience over a lifetime and then we just go with our gut in terms of, this should be interesting to my audience, or this is what I think that they need. Intuition and experience are awesome, but if we couple that with the tool, then now we can be more data driven, we can be more targeted, and that gets us to our goal quicker.
Right. And of course the arts and craft people, to go back to our analogy of before, we don't like data. Ew, numbers, ew, but we have to have it. I mean, it's just absolutely critical that we have those numbers and we understand them. You mentioned Google Analytics. One of the biggest things is, to know what's happening on your website. You might have written the most fabulous piece of content in the world, but if nobody is staying on that website page long enough to read it, it doesn't matter. And so you need to figure out why. Is it too long? Is it your graphics? Do you have a URL people can't find? There's a commercial here for a local attorney who actually has to mispronounce his company's name in order to tell people how to find it online. And every time I hear that commercial, see, your eyebrows went up. Right. I keep thinking, change your URL, dude, because all that's doing is confusing people. And so, figure those things out, and that's data. If people can't find you, if they're not staying long enough, same thing with, in person. If people aren't spending enough time talking with you, then maybe your messaging is wrong. And that's kind of a hard thing to grasp also. If you're going to networking events and nobody's paying any attention to you and, all these various things, well, something needs to change.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I'd love to go back really quickly and touch on something that you mentioned, which is this hesitancy or this fear that we have, as marketers to move towards the data, right? And I think that's one of the things that is really clear about AI and about increased technology entering into marketing, is that at some level, and probably with the biggest companies that have the most data, there is this sense that a whole new class of workers, right? You can bring data scientists, you can bring big data, and on their own, without kind of that marketing experience, they can start to generate insights.
Or they'll tell us we've been doing it wrong, so why do they need us?
That's right. So that's, I think, kind of the fear in the back of our minds. I think for even in those businesses, the strategy and the creativity are married with that. So we actually have the real blessing of working with some of the biggest brands in the world, and we have with some of the smallest companies. And so seeing that spectrum, even in that world where they have all the data, it still comes down to amazing marketers at those organizations or the agencies they work with being really creative about what they do with that data. And so I think if we just put that on the table and take a deep breath, we can kind of de-escalate from the sense that the data is going to take my job or the tools are going to take my job. If we relax, then it becomes just a logical question about saying, okay, well, I may not feel super comfortable with these data intensive tools, or I may not be super comfortable with going out and picking a tool to use because everyone's saying I need to go get AI and use marketing AI.
Right. I have to do a bot. What's a bot?
Right.
I don't know what a bot is.
That's right. And so I think it's really important to not panic, but to take some action to move forward. And so to recognize that wherever you are as a marketer, there are great tools that will help to accelerate you and make you more productive, hit your business goals, but also make you more productive as a marketer. But you don't have to get all the way to the end in the first try.
Right.
And adopting a tool that's just way more than what your organization needs or what you can handle is not going to be productive.
No.
But there are baby steps, right? And so it's recognizing, hey, where's the biggest pain? If I'm a marketer, I'm thinking about my marketing process, the job that I do every day. How do I get the ideas? How do I prioritize my activities? How do I get content out the door? How do I measure the results? As I think about that whole process, what's the biggest pain for me right now? Where's my biggest bottleneck? If I knew a little bit more, or if I could automate something a little more, where would that be? And if you just isolate on that spot, saying, hey, if I could reduce the friction, if I could automate this process a little more, if I knew a little bit more in this spot, that would be the first step that I would take. Because then you're now focused on your search in terms of, okay, what tool is going to help me do that? And now that I'm thinking in that way, you can say, okay, of the tools out there, what one actually kind of meets me in the middle in terms of where my skills are and what it's offering. And adopting that tool moves you forward, moves your organization forward, and you're now on that path of updating your own skill set while you're updating your organization's skill set, and you're taking advantage of what's out there rather than just choosing to ignore it or feeling like the sky's falling and you've got to be all the way to the extreme on data and AI right off the bat.
Right. And it is a process of, actually thinking about it, and figuring out what is needed. One of the things that is kind of one of the new things are the bots, the things that pop up and, hello, I am your customer service person and I'm here to help you today. And, those are cute. They're, and they do serve a purpose, and so I don't want to, but, there are people who say, oh my God, you have to have that because people need to reach you 24/7. Okay, do they really need to reach me 24/7? Am I the type of business that needs to be reached 24/7? Or are people going to understand it's 3 o'clock in the morning here in Atlanta? Maybe I should contact her tomorrow. And obviously that depends on your product or your service, because there are some things that need, that immediate response, even if it's just an automated response that says, hi, we will get back to you within 24 hours or something like that. So, I think I mentioned it before, the flavor of the month. Don't just do something because everybody else is doing it. And then if you do, make sure that you're following through. I mean, if your little bot says that you'll be contacted within 24 hours, then you better contact people within 24 hours. It's not going to matter that it's a weekend. It's not going to matter that you're on vacation. You need to follow through. And so if it means not using that technology, that's okay too.
Yeah. Those are two really great points. So one, I really like that thought, right, around we get bombarded with a lot of messaging around cool tools and cool ways to improve what we're doing in our business. And just because we're hearing it doesn't mean that it's the right tool for us. Right. So I think that's like a key point is where can I get the most benefit? And then I'm going to go look for a tool that fits that problem, not the other way around. I think that's really important. And then the other one, which you said, which is the expectations we set. Can we be consistent with those, right? Because again, we can't tackle all the things we'd like to do as business leaders or as marketers. We just can't do it. So, but we can pick a few things, and those things that we do, if we can set those expectations appropriately, then we'll gain that trust. We'll build that relationship.
Right. Because it is all about trust and relationship. And the consumer can easily go elsewhere. I was on somebody's website and their little bot or their site said, someone is available to chat 24/7. So their bot popped up, and what does it say? No one is available to chat with you right now. And I'm like, I'm so confused. And so my next thing to do was to go to someone else. I wasn't going to wait until they were available, and so it was like, okay, somebody had a mismatch on their messages, and that is the other thing that's so important about your content. Is it consistent? Are you saying in one place we're available 24/7 and here it's like, well, not so much, or, you can, we'll design a product specifically for you, but oh yeah, it's going to cost you 4 times as much. Make sure that content has the same messaging, which gets difficult, especially if you're not the one person shop and you've got multiple people that are doing things. Your sales team might be telling people one thing, or even you might, you go to that networking event and somebody says, hey, can you do this? Sure, I can do it that way. And you really can't. Make sure that your messaging is consistent.
Yeah, that's right. One of the experiences that we have every time we work directly with one of our clients is to ask them about what they think the value is they're providing.
Mm-hmm.
And again, one of the goals that we're thinking about is, okay, how do we help build a consistent messaging strategy that can then roll into the marketing activities, the content that they're doing. And so as we do that exercise, that list gets long very quickly, right? Because we think we see our product and our service and we understand all of its complexities, we understand all the benefits, all the values, and so we just kind of roll the autobiographical tape onto our audience and think, well, they must care about all these things too. And so it's very easy for us to write down 5 factors, 10 factors. We get to 20 or 25 things very easily, say, well, people are probably thinking about this when they're thinking about my product or service, or they're probably thinking about this. And in that context, that's kind of like our head on paper. And to your point, we can't have a consistent, highly impactful message if we're just picking from those 25 things and just trying to touch all of them, right? And so that exercise, we actually in our software application, we actually talk about it as the content topic explorer. We want to explore those topics with the help of AI, with the help of our past experience. We want to explore them, but then we want to commit to our topic pillars. We want to commit to those key messages that we think are important at each stage of the customer journey. So when they're first getting to know us and the problem they have, what are the 2 or 3 messages that we're going to be consistent about to really connect? As we move people through that experience and they want to know more about us, what are the 2 or 3 messages that we're really going to focus on and be consistent on? And that exercise of getting your head on paper, but then recognizing some of these things are more important than others. What does my audience really need to hear? And then committing and being consistent is the way to build up the momentum long-term from your marketing activities.
Right. Because a confused customer is a lost customer.
That's right. And today it's easier than ever, right? Because it's not like you get confused and you're talking to someone and they can see, hey, you're confused. I want to help you out. It's they hit the website, they see the headline, they don't understand what you do, and then they're on to the next thing.
Right. Now, we've been, kind of saying negative things about AI, but AI, of course, can do so much for you. One of the things that it can do is help personalize the experience. And I love this. So tell us more about this.
Yeah. So one way to think about this, just a very accessible way to think about how we're using data better than ever to help solve our own problems can relate then to how we might do this as a company. So if a Google hack, right, is to actually start putting your product category into the search bar and then put your product category and then type the word for and then see what Google suggests. Because if we think about that word for and what role that plays in the search that we're doing, the answer is typically some user or use case, some audience that needs our product category. So if we're doing dental software, or if we're selling steel, or if we are a consumer clothing subscription company, no matter what our business is, we can put in that product category and then say for, and Google may have some insight for us just right off the bat, because the most common things that people are searching, so you type in accounting tools for, and then you get small businesses, or you use all different kinds of things start to come up. around that. And so if we take that the same mental model and apply it to how we're thinking about personalizing, we can start to now use these different data sources to really hone in on what's resonating, what's most important for our audiences. So that's from a strategy perspective, that's one way that we can use the data tools that are out there to personalize. On the other side of things, on the execution side of things, the marketing automation tools that we have at our disposal, starting with email marketing or more complicated tools that provide a suite of marketing automation activities, those tools now let us identify, score, target certain parts of our audience, and then we can serve them content that's actually more relevant to them,
Right.
taking advantage of tools that are helping to group different parts of our audience together, then lets us serve them with content that's more relevant for them. And so that's another way that the tools are getting more sophisticated and letting us have more and more of a one-to-one conversation, even if it's over the internet, even if it's through our website or through an email.
Right. And, when the consumer, when they're working through that process, I mean, you might actually be weeding them out. They might be wanting, accounting software for, a large business, and you only offer accounting software for a small business. And that's not a bad thing, because you're not going to waste your time. You're not going to waste their time. And so, it's helping through this process. And then it's giving them the right messaging, and I hate to say it. I mean, especially from a marketing perspective, I mean, you really don't want to say our product isn't right for you.
Right.
But what you want to have done is given them enough information so they self opt out and they go, oh yeah, I'm it's just like, car shopping. I must have this feature. If you don't have this feature, then I'm not going to buy that car. Well, then I need to know right up front, do you have that feature or not? And if you don't, it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with your car, but I'm going to go shop for a different car.
Yeah. That's right. And as marketers, it's in our interest to know who our audience is and then help that audience like crazy and help people that are not in our audience find something that's better for them, because eventually those people are probably going to come back around. And if we've thought about, okay, how can I be most helpful to people in my audience, people not, I'm more consistent as a business, right? Everyone knows who I am, what I stand for, what I'm going to provide, how I'm going to help you. And that will come around, right? It's going to be easier for my current customers and prospects. It's going to be easier for everyone else to understand when they should pick up the phone or when they should go to the website and ask for my help.
Right. And again, that's where AI helps with that. When, maybe you've got the series of questions that you're walking people through, but then it's going to reach a point where they may need to either place the order or talk to a person or do whatever, and again, it has to work right. A friend of mine was trying to change an airline ticket the other day. And so she's on the phone, and of course it's 4 or 5 little options were not what she wanted. And so she's just basically yelling at the stupid little thing, and how many times have we done that? Or we just start poking buttons, okay, well, if 1 through 4 isn't going to do it, what happens if I poke 9? What happens, and all that does is get us frustrated. So, again, it's working through that process, making sure that you've covered as many things as possible. You're not going to hit them all, and that's the other thing to realize is you're not going to find everything, but you need to be able to give somebody that option to talk to a person, or whatever it is.
Yeah. I think that's really good. I actually had a very similar experience recently where I was online using the online facility to work through my airline difficulty, and I was very impressed. I was like, this is great. They're taking my input, they're responding contextually. This is like working really well. And it got to the point where it was time to talk to a person, right? It was they knew everything about me. I knew everything about like what the situation was, and I needed to make those final steps. And it was just, and the whole system broke down. And so there was nothing happened, right? Like it just got to the end, and like I never got a call. We never connected. And so I ended up having to go and talk to a person, right? And I think the lesson learned from marketers is to have the appropriate expectations around the tools we're adopting.
Right.
So just like we're not in that dystopian world where the AI bots come out of our computer and sit at our desks and do the marketing for us. As much as we're not there, we're also not in the world where we can sit back with our coffee cup or our margarita and just wait for marketing to happen. There's this role that we need to continue to play as the custodian of the brand, as the owner of the relationship with the person. And AI tools will help us, but the moment we have this expectation that if I implement this piece of technology, that part of my job goes away, then we're in trouble because we end up with these gaps, like what you shared or what my experience was. And so as we adopt an AI tool, it's really important to understand exactly what the limitations are. You know, when and how is it going to help me? And what does that mean I need to change about how I do my day-to-day job so that we still deliver an amazing customer experience, we still communicate effectively with our audience.
Right. You know, and it absolutely has to have that human input. You know, it's only as good as the questions that we put into it to ask, or, you know, how we're going to interpret the data, you know, all of those various things. So that is what is, you know, it has to have both pieces.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Well, Bart, oh my gosh, this is so much. I could talk tech forever. I love all this stuff. But tell us a little bit more about exactly what Vennli can do for someone.
Yeah, that's right. So it's easy for someone to get a taste for Vennli just by simply going to the website and signing up for a free trial of our content.
It says try Vennli for free right there, right in front of me.
Right. So I'd encourage anyone who's interested to do that, to go to the website and start a free trial. The whole goal behind the tool is to give marketers the ability to create an effective plan that's driven by what their audience really needs and desires. And so when you start using Vennli, you'll be able to get your business objective, your audience personas, your goals for your marketing all in one place. That makes it easier if you're a one-person shop or if you're a team, then you need to align on what's happening. And once you're there, you can take advantage of the AI we built in to get ideas for content topics that your audience is really searching for and having problems with, commit to those topics, and then to start to build briefs around the specific pieces of content that you might create. And so there's a recommendation engine that helps to guide you to those decisions. So what content format should you be providing? What are the topics? What are the distribution channels available? And so as you build those briefs, you very quickly have a content calendar which you can use to really focus your strategy over the next weeks and months as you build out that content, distribute it, promote it, and then repeat and see the benefits growing over time. Show the increased engagement, the increased traffic that you're looking for to really drive more business and a stronger relationship with your current customers.
Right. You know, and I looked, this is not something that is thousands of dollars a month, folks. It's very reasonable. I was shocked at how reasonable it is.
Yeah, we're excited to continue to invest in the product itself and to continue to bring more and more improvements. So this is definitely the right time to think about how can I upgrade my own content planning process, and I would highly recommend giving Vennli a try as part of that journey.
Right. Well, and as I said, there's a button, try Vennli for free. You know, and so that's always fun. I love it when, you know, and I tell people, you know, don't just spend the money, you know, try it. Yep. You know, kick the tires, you know, drive it around the block a couple of times, make sure that it is something that's going to work for you.
That's right. Yep.
Right. Well, how do people find you and connect with you?
Anyone can connect through the trial directly, and we have a team that provides feedback, and I'm part of that team as head of product. Bart@Vennli.com is my email address.
Yeah, we're not going to try and make people spell your last name.
That's pretty easy to find, and I'd love to connect with anyone who has more questions or comments about anything we talked about today, or other questions about marketing content.
Perfect. I love it. You know, and you've got a great website. You've got some great resources on there, your blog, you've got some ebooks, all sorts of great content. So if you're still just at the kind of maybe kicking tires stage, there is great information there. You know, and there are the do-it-yourself people, you know, and that's great. So you've got information there if they want to try and you know, not try, they might be very successful at it. You know, if they want to do it themselves, there is great information there for them too.
Yep. Wonderful. Thank you.
Well, Bart, what final thoughts would you like to leave everyone with?
I think this is a really exciting time to be a marketer and to be doing marketing, because the tools are actually letting us get closer to our customer. And so the data, the tools, the facility that we have through the internet and through so many other means to actually engage with a conversation that's more like a real conversation, that we actually are working with companies and people and prospects and clients like at every stage of value, that is better and easier than it's ever been. And so as a marketer, that's really exciting, because we have the opportunity to influence and communicate effectively our value and receive that value back from our customers. So I think it's time to jump in, feet first into this world of data and marketing, and take that step to improve our own communication with our clients and prospects.
Perfect, because that's what it's all about. If we're not communicating well with our clients, we're not going to sell our product or our service. That's what it comes down to.
That's right.
Well, Bart, we'll have to do this again, because I'm sure technology will change.
Right.
And so this is so much fun to be able to talk about all of this. And until then, I'm Deb Creer. I've been having a great time talking with Bart Frischknecht. And until next time, everyone have a great day.
Tune in for our next program for even more trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. The Business Power Hour, hosted by Deb Creer, is proud to be part of the C-Suite Network.